In this video, let's take a look at how to make these really pretty wall hangings that I have behind me, and I'll even show you how I made this third little baby one because it's cute. Hi, I'm Patty and welcome to my handmade lifestyle. I go by Patty Mac Makes everywhere online. On this channel, we're all about living that analog life in this wacky digital world. And if that sounds good to you, then like today's video and subscribe to the channel. In today's video, we are going to look at how to make these really cool wall hangings that are behind me. I first saw this style of project on Pinterest and I fell in love with them. And I thought, well, gosh, I can do that. And I've certainly got plenty of yarn in my stash. So let's see what we can make. To make these wall hangings, you will need a few things. You will need the gold rings in a couple of sizes. You're going to need yarn. You're going to need scissors. And as an optional supply, you can use spray paint, twine. I found that it's much easier to make these if you hang them to loop your yarn rather than try to do it on the floor. I've seen some videos where people are doing them on the floor and goodness gracious, I think that looks really hard. I don't know how you could really put it together doing it that way. So do yourself a favor, either put it in the spot where you know you want to put it and go ahead and either do your nail or your command strip, or you can do like I did and use the over the door hanger. That worked really well, and that way you can keep making them because it's a really cool gift and it's a fun craft item. The first thing that you'll want to do is to decide on how big or small you want to make this project. I found the rings, they are a Joann's product, and I found them all the way in the back of the store. So in my store, it was all the way on the very back wall, and there was other stuff back there like sequins and beads and I don't know what else, a bunch of stuff, but they were all the way in the back. So you're gonna want to go to the back of the store to find them. I thought that they were a little bit shiny gold, so I experimented with spray painting them. I already had the spray paint. I've used that spray paint on a few projects now. I love it. I really liked the spray paint. I already had the spray paint and I felt like it toned down the shininess. And for me, that was a preferred look. But again, this is entirely up to you. And you can spray paint it any color you want. The hoops took the paint really well. So whatever color you desire, you can go with that. Super easy to do. Oh, I should also mention a glue gun is helpful in this project. You'll want to secure the twine at the top of your loops. You need some way to adhere those loops together, and I wound up taking twine. I love twine. It's great in a lot of projects. It lends a rustic look without being hard to work with or expensive. So I just wrapped the twine around the top of the loops after they were painted and dried, and then glue gunned it in place, and that worked really well for me. So let's talk about the yarn. The yarn is the star of the show in this project. And I think it's important to not overdo. It's really easy when we go to the store and there's this huge selection of yarn. We want it all. We're drawn to all of it. So here's what I would suggest. Pick a neutral to start and focus on texture. Find something that's got a little more texture than just like a smooth acrylic yarn. You want texture because that's what really gives this project its flair. So I would start with a neutral and then think about what color you want to really work with. And try to play with weights of yarn. I think that makes this a really fun project when you have a super bulky weight and a lighter weight and you mix them together. It makes for a good contrast. So your next question is how long do I make this yarn? So what you're going to want to do is figure out how long do you want your piece to hang and measure that and then double that length. Because what we're going to do is a really simple macrame knot to get the yarn onto the hoops. We're going to do something called a lark's head knot. Very easy to do, and it's also the way that you put fringe on a scarf. This is the simplest macrame knot. It's the one that everybody uses to get their cording, their yarn, whatever it is they're using to make their macrame style project onto the dowel or the poop in this case. My friend Megan over at Megan Bell, this is what she does. She's got a full tutorial on it. I'll link to her video for you below if you really feel like you need a little more instruction. Also, I would suggest subscribing to her channel because she does the coolest DIY projects. She's constantly inspiring me, and she's my friend in real life, and I love her, so follow Megan. Now that you've decided how long you want your project to be, just go ahead and cut your yarn. And then, you know, this is not like a high-level project that requires accuracy. It's not like baking, it's not like knitting, it's not like sewing. You can just do whatever, which to me is really fun. I need a project every so often where I can just do whatever because everything else is kind of precise. It's very precise. So this let me just kind of, you know, have a ball, just do whatever. It didn't matter. And then if I put two things together that I didn't like, no big deal. Just take it off the hoop, put that yarn to the side, try something else. It's incredibly freeing. I loved it. When I did these projects, I wound up holding several strands of yarn together when I did my wraps. And, you know, that was just a personal preference. I liked it. It made a big chunky look. The project went together really fast, and I enjoyed that. That's what I wanted. The really cool thing about this project is you can do a single strand, you can do multi-strands. Again, it's whatever you like. But let me show you how I wound up putting some of my yarns together. For this one, I started by picking the neutral, which is this white, and it's got like a little gold strand that runs through it, which I thought was really pretty. And then I went with this curly yarn. They're both Lion brand products, and they both have a little bit of wool content. I think that's important. If you go straight up acrylic, it's just not quite the same. You're not going to have the same kind of texture. So I mixed these two together. I wound up getting this beautiful, smaller sized project, and I love it. And all I did was held 3 of these together and looped them around, and same thing here, and then I just randomly tied knots. I mean, it was so easy. And then this, I just let these hang long, and that was it. It was really fun, and I absolutely love how this came out. For that larger one behind me, I kind of started with these two as my neutral, the creamy white that I used in the last project. And then I put in that kind of khaki brown. And then I found this really fun, like faux fur looking yarn. And I'm kind of lying to you because it's acrylic, but I liked how it had that furry look to it. And then I used that same curly pink yarn. And I just really had a good time putting this together. And I wound up putting that white furry looking yarn with the brown neutral, and then I put the white with the gold strand through the middle, like at the top, just to give it a little something else. This last one that we're going to talk about was actually the first one I made, and I had this really crazy giant yarn in my stash, and frankly I didn't know what to do with it. I used it in a video to talk about how to knit giant yarn, but you know, it wasn't enough to like make a full blanket project, and I just think it's too big to wear as a hat or something. I know people do, but I'm not one of those people. So it was in my stash, and I needed to use it. And I wound up mixing it with this super fine weight yarn that also has a little bit of a gold sparkle to it. And I just liked putting the super, super thin, delicate yarn with that huge, chunky roving wool. I just thought that was the neatest contrast. On that one, what I wound up doing was braiding the smaller yarn together to give it a little more flair. And even though that roving yarn is so big and so chunky, I still held 2 strands of it together when I made my lark's head knot and put the actual yarn onto the hoop. I still went with 2 just because I liked that really big look. And for the small white, I held 6 strands together and then I braided them, and I'm so happy with it. And then I added a little tassel like in the center that I thought was just super cute. And if you're wondering how to make a tassel, I do have a video for that, which I can link up in the corner, and also I will put that in the down bar for you. I hope that inspires you to try making your own wall hanging. This project to me is so fun. It's so freeing. You can do whatever you want. I would suggest sticking to just 2 or 3 yarns. Don't go crazy, and just have a good time with it. All right, that's today's video. I hope it gets you inspired to get out there and try something new and different and really enjoy yourself. And that's what I got for you. I'll see you in the next video.